Hey friends, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 104, The Price of Gold. This episode aired on November 13th, 2011. It was written by David H. Goodman and directed by David Solomon. So before we go into our notes and recapping and crazy chaos, let's go over a little bit of synopsis for the episode. In the Enchanted Forest, Cinderella wishes to change her life and go to the ball. When her fairy godmother appears to grant her wish, she gets a little more than she bargained for when Rumpelstiltskin blows her to fairy dust for her wand. He warns Cinderella that magic is dangerous and it always comes with a price. The two strike a deal that gives her the boost she needs to meet her prince, and on her wedding day, Rumpel comes to inform her of his payment, her firstborn child. She wants to keep her child, and with the help of Charming, Grumpy, and the Blue Fairy, they're able to imprison the Dark One where he can never torment the land with his deals again. And in Storybrooke, Emma wants to stay, but she still doesn't have any roots. Her stuff may have been delivered, and she has a place to stay, but she'll still need to work eventually. After a chance encounter with a maid at Granny's B&B, Emma convinces Ashley to take control of her life, and Ashley tries to run out on a deal with Mr. Gold. He tasks Emma with getting back his merchandise, Ashley's unborn child. With the help of Henry and Ruby, they're able to get Ashley back to the hospital in time to give birth, and Emma makes a deal that Ashley can keep her child if Emma owes Mr. Gold a favor. Through it all, she decides it's time to put down some roots and become Deputy Emma Swan. At least the job comes with dental. I just want to start with, just before we get into anything, Graham's insistence, like that's the one thing he can come up with, is that the job comes with dental.
That's okay.
But like his whole... Go ahead.
My note was just flat out trying to hire Emma as a deputy is wild to me. She does technically have some experience, but what?
I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, that's not how that works. Like, you
No.
can't just... His whole thing of, like, it's my department, that's not how it works. You can't just hire a random person and deputize them. Like, like, I'm pretty sure there's, like, civil service exams or something along the
There's a
lines of
lot
that.
involved.
Like, it's just, you can't just hire people.
Mm-mm.
That's not how that
There's like
works.
tests, and like I remember trying to go for a job with the post, like with the police office or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and to be like
Yeah.
any type of that position, they had a physical test and everything, and if you didn't pass the physical, you didn't even move on to the next step. So yeah, there's so many requirements and so much that goes into that. So when Graham's like, yeah, here's dental insurance, I was like, what the fuck, Graham, like what are you talking about?
It's like, dude, that's not how that works. Just because you claim it's your department does not mean that you can just deputize literally anybody. Unfortunately, that does become a thing as the... Okay, no. I was like, unfortunately, it does become a thing as the show goes on, that just literally anyone can start working for the sheriff's department. There is an election at some point.
Which makes sense since no one else has gone up against Regina.
No, I mean an election for the sheriff's
Oh
department.
my god.
No, Regina's the mayor forever.
Forever?
Okay, well, actually, not forever. There is a brief moment, but I can't talk about that yet. That's like
Okay.
3 seasons
Okay.
away right now.
So here's just a quick laugh for you though. I seem to like to timestamp the first comment, but only the first comment. A minute and 40 seconds in, I just typed, what the fuck just happened?
Is that when he blows up the
When
fairy
he
godmother?
blows up fairy godmother. I was like, why? I mean, obviously obviously we see why.
Yeah, he wanted the wand.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, the show always gears towards like the more visually dramatic way of doing things, and I mean, to be fair, so does Rumple. He's very dramatic. He's very all the flair and all of that other stuff.
Which
So
I
he's like,
love.
it's so much fun to watch. But it's just like, it is a little dramatic to quite literally blow her to fairy dust.
Like, didn't think of any other way to get the wand. Let's just blow her to smithereens.
Exactly. I was trying to think if there's any other times that we've seen a fairy die, basically. I think there's only one other instance of this, I think.
More fairies die?
Only one. As far
Oh,
as I can
God.
remember, I think only one, and many years from now.
Okay. Many years from now.
Many years from
It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, before you see that happen again.
I mean, Ruby's in the episode, so of course it's Ruby in all caps, and then in parentheses, I am no better than a man.
Yeah, that's fair. I also just wrote Ruby in all caps at one point.
The interaction between Emma and Regina in the diner
Mm-hmm.
made me a happy person. Like the tension
It
between
is a
them.
good moment. And like for a couple of episodes, Regina will have a little more to do in the next episode. But it for some reason watching it this time around, I noticed that like for 2 episodes really, Regina is just kind of there to pop in, create tension and say something mean and walk away.
Makes sense.
Which like is fine. I'm okay watching that because she's there pretty much just kind of stir the pot when it comes to Emma. But I do enjoy just the way she's just there to taunt her with like the "that's right, I know everything." Like
She knows it all.
she's the mayor. She's got eyes everywhere. She's got her hands in everything.
Well, and she knows what's happening. I told you I believe she knows about the curse.
I can neither confirm nor deny
What is my prize if I'm right?
the pride of a job well done.
I'll take it. It's something. At least I did something right.
Here you go. But I can neither confirm nor deny whether Regina knows what's going on. But for now, she's just kind of there to torment Emma, and we're here to enjoy it, honestly.
It's very enjoyable.
I think so. But I need to about that scene. Emma knocking over the hot chocolate is the most awkward thing ever. It really is. Like it's very clear that was a blocking thing and they couldn't figure out a way to make it look a little more natural. But like
Because then, like, pushing the table is too obvious of Regina just being
exactly.
a dick. I guess is a good
Yeah,
word for that.
exactly. It's more of Emma just kind of hastily getting up. Oh, I did write down this scene. I just wrote Gina, honey, calm the fuck down. I tend to just shorten names most of the time. So in my notes,
Oh.
I've got Gina instead of Regina. I have MM instead of Mary Margaret because that's just
Oh,
easier.
yeah. They went with a very long name for Snow White.
It is a very long name. I don't know if that was. I mean, there's a nod to it later on in the season, but I don't know why they went with that.
Well, I mean, like you said, she was supposed to be a nun, and Mary Margaret's a very nun-like name.
That's true. It is. And also this time I noticed the cross necklace that she was wearing in the pilot is gone immediately.
That's hilarious. I can't imagine Snow White as a nun.
Me neither, especially now that we've got Charming back.
Exactly. Which I later on, Rumple said she was charming, and I don't know why I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah. They like leading in those little details.
It was very enjoyable. The O that Emma lets out when she finds out the girl's pregnant is
Yeah.
oh like
Oh.
oh it's like if it were not PG-13 or PG or whatever it is the rating is, it would have been oh shit.
Yeah, I think it's TV 14, I think, given the time slot that it's on. It might be lower than that. But yeah, it's like, have you ever tried bleach and it's just pregnant belly?
It's like oh fuck, I shouldn't have said that.
So we can neither confirm nor deny whether Regina knows about the curse, or really whether the curse is real or not.
The
Let's be
curse is
here.
real.
Okay, you're certain about that?
I mean, the entire premise of the show is that these people are all in this town because of a curse. If it weren't real,
I mean, yeah.
I'd be severely confused and worried. Like,
Okay, so we'll operate under the fact that the curse is real. When the show was originally written, I think they were trying to make it seem like the curse, like we don't know. There is a moment of reveal coming soon that's meant to be this big, like, oh shit, the curse is real, Henry's right kind of thing. So like you're meant to kind of be like, is it real? Is it just all in his head? I don't know.
look, if we go through this entirety of this show, years of doing this, and they're all in a mental hospital, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. I'm just saying.
I can't say something I want to say.
Oh no! I don't like being right all the time.
Anyone who's seen season 6 knows why I'm laughing.
Oh no! It's gonna be so long till I get there.
Yeah. You'll get more clarity. The reason why I'm laughing is not like really, I mean, is not whole show plot pertinent.
This will be interesting.
Keep that in mind. But I was saying we're operating under like the guise that the curse is real. We are just going to ignore the fact that Ashley was essentially pregnant, or like 9 months pregnant, for 28 years. We're just going to ignore that.
That sounds like hell.
It does, but again, because if we're operating under the way the curse works, she doesn't feel pregnant for 28 years. They don't know that 28 years has gone by,
This is
right? It's like it's not really because it's not quite a Groundhog's Day situation. Like they're not going through the exact same motions, but time kind of continually moves and doesn't move in that like they always feel like the like events of their past, if they remember them, happened the same amount of time away. Kind of like The Simpsons, where like the characters never age, but like in episodes that you'll see Bart being 2 years old in the episodes in the 90s, they're talking about like the late 80s, early 90s, versus like episodes now where Bart is 2, they're talking about like the mid 2010s because that's what makes sense for right now.
Bob's kind of does that too, actually. I kind of like that.
Exactly.
Because you have moments, and like Tina had her birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's that, and it kind of
Yeah.
continues off from there. So yeah,
Exactly. So it's like the same things like will happen. So like figure like Mary Margaret, like say she's 28, like the idea that her and Emma are the same age. So figure she's 28 when we first see them. So right now her birthday in her mind is 1983. But if we go back to 1983, then when they would have like timing wise when like the curse would have happened at that time, her birthday would have been like, oh, what is that math, like 1958
oh,
or
you were
something like
asking the
that.
wrong person to do numbers.
I don't know. It was like 1950s, something
You
like
don't.
that.
I don't number.
1960s. I don't know.
Okay, there we go. So that's actually what's happening. Something happened at the end of Why Women Kill,
Yes,
and now we're
exactly.
here.
Exactly. Beth Ann got sucked into a vortex.
Yes, and that's why everything's confusing.
It's exactly what happened. Same with Rita Castillo. She also got sucked into the vortex.
Oh,
I really
man.
wish they'd gotten a third season of that show just to see what other Once Upon a Time actor they could have pulled out of thin air.
I'm still working on that one slowly but
Hmm.
surely because I keep forgetting
Yeah,
it exists.
that's fair.
I'll watch an episode, move on to the next thing. It'll be like 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh wait, I was watching this. Okay,
So
you'll enjoy this note very
yes,
much. I think I just wrote. I imagine that Jennifer Goodwin is the nicest in person.
I really want to hope that she is because she just seems like such a sweetheart in
She
general.
does in everything she does.
She's
Everything.
just she is Snow White in every conceivable way.
It was the perfect casting.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
So is Regina, though.
The casting on this show is
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah.
Like just in general, as the show goes on, you'll start seeing things like who they bring in for various shows, and like even honestly, even the actor playing Cinderella in this one, like I think she fits their version of it very well. And I do have some fun facts about her casting.
I'd love it.
It's the okay, but did you know? This is actually my bad. I have this tendency to assume most of like the one weekend guest stars, despite the fact that like Kristen Bauer in the second episode, this is Kristen Bauer, a normal person from person from LA. For some reason, for the ones that I just didn't know, I kind of assumed they were like Vancouver day players, like people that local hires.
Mm-hmm.
That was my assumption. I was incorrect. At least in the case of Jessie Schramm, who plays Cinderella / Ashley Boyd. She is from Chicago originally, and she moved out to LA. She has a very long list of recurring and guest spots on roles in shows like Drake and Josh, Veronica Mars, and House.
Wait,
Uh-huh. She's done like one episode, like an episode here, an episode there of a bunch of shows in the early 2000s.
I knew her, but the thing is, her face looked familiar, and I grew up on Drake and Josh, so that probably
Yep,
is where that connection's at.
probably.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah. And her most recent credit, I should say, has been on. She's been on Chicago Med apparently for the last 3 years.
I have not watched that.
Neither have I, but she's been working, which is good for her.
I got burnt out from Grey's Anatomy, so I've taken a break from hospital shows.
That is fair. But yeah, I assumed that she was a Canadian hire. I don't really know why. Like Megan Ori, who plays Ruby, was a local hire. The guy who played Billy, whose name I can never remember, he's a local hire because he's also on The 100, which is another show that filmed in Vancouver.
I never finished The 100,
But you've seen him.
but I've seen enough of it.
Yeah. So I just always figured that Jessie Schramm was also a local hire. I was incorrect.
I made a funny. I went to ask myself why is Rumple obsessed with babies, and then remembered the fairy tale. So
Yeah, well, okay, so that leads into one of the things. Like, this is very much a fairy tale mashup episode, right? Because you've got the Cinderella story in
yes,
addition to the Rumpelstiltskin story. Why this version of Rumpelstiltskin wants children is I was gonna say it's unclear. It's unclear at this point.
Okay.
Um, it's never explicitly stated, but there's implications as the season goes on why he may want people's children. But I can't say with any like level of absolute certainty if I'm correct in my assumption.
I mean, it's disturbing. He wants babies, so it's like,
It
what
is.
you doing there, Rumple?
I don't know. I wish I could say I know what he's doing there, but I don't. But I do like that they're mashing up some of the fairy tales a little bit, just kind of breathing a little more life into them rather than doing just like strict retellings of them. Like they're all in this world together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why not mix all of them up together? Like
It makes sense.
yeah, like we've seen Little Red and Granny in like the pilot, so they're clearly involved with Snow White.
Well, then even seeing Snow and Charming, or Snow and we're sticking to Charming because I was
This
like,
is
wait a
charming.
minute, is that his name? Snow and Charming at
They're
Cinderella's
what?
wedding. I was like, oh, they're
Yeah,
there. It's so sweet. And that's when I had that moment of
yeah.
like, Jennifer Goodwin has to be amazing because she's so sweet as Snow.
She's
She's
adorable.
adorable. I know she's like so much older than me too,
Yeah,
but
it's fine.
adorable's the word.
It is. I wrote down Snow, the bisexual icon. The man she pushed aside to dance with Cinderella is just standing there.
Sorry, that's like a flappy hands moment. I love that.
Yeah, it was cute. Yeah, Cinderella calls him James. Until you've seen a certain episode of the season, I can't comment on that yet.
I literally am sitting here like, this man has so many names.
He's got so many names. We're gonna stick with Charming, and that's much easier. The timing of the wedding, because again, I'm a timeline nerd, as that's what I do with this because I make sense out of chaos. I've placed this between when he wakes her up, but before the wedding. So they are the royal couple, but this is before. So in my according to my timeline, Cinderella and Thomas get married before Snow and Charming.
Are you sure?
I am certain.
Okay. It didn't come off that way is the only reason I ask. It felt like they were already married.
They're introduced as like the royal couple, but and this is my interpretation of the timeline. Other people have other interpretations, but given what I know about how much time occurs between the wedding and the curse, there's not enough time for that wedding to happen and for them to also get pregnant.
Oh.
So
Well, that's depending on how fast they got pregnant.
it does depend on how fast they get pregnant.
Not everyone's like me and gets pregnant instantly.
Exactly. So like there may be time. Well, that was another note that I wrote down for the king. Like, dude, calm down. They just got married. There's no rush to make babies immediately.
Have you read Priory?
I have not.
The whole point of the royal in that is literally to get pregnant. They're like, you have to keep we need an heir now.
Okay.
And I am seeing that in a lot of fantasy books, and it's killing me because I'm just like,
No.
can we stop having to make so many babies? Just give me dragons.
Dragons are better.
Dragons are better. I need more Maleficent.
I mean, so do I. You'll see her one more time this season.
Only once?
Only once. Because again, remember, True Blood was actively going on at this time. Like when they hired her, it was literally, can you fly up on Saturday, film, and fly back down?
True Blood scarred me.
I love True Blood.
I was in high school when I gave it a try because my grandmother loves the Sookie Stackhouse novels. So I'm like, oh, this should be fine. And I was hanging out at my grandmother's house for the day when she was running errands.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 16 watching the first episode, and I was like, this is really uncomfortable. I'm watching this in my grandmother's house.
Maybe not the best time. I think I started watching it in college.
Well, I also like actually had a discussion with my grandmother, and she's like, "Are you okay?" Because I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm like, "Grandma, why are you watching porn?" I'm like, that's essentially what it felt like.
It was HBO.
It was HBO. HBO's not like that as much anymore.
No, it's not. But honestly, the rewatch podcast that she was doing with Deborah Ann Wool, who played what was Jessica, is a great podcast because that one they do the rewatch and like they're rewatching it. They go by it episode by episode. I think they only did the first 2 seasons so far.
Okay, kind of like the ladies from The Office.
Yeah, exactly. And like not only did like they go into like production and like what it was like filming it, but they also just talk about filmmaking in general and what it was and like how like the stuff is made. And they also interview people, like not just actors from the show, but like production designers, like directors, musical directors, so they can like even like the cinematographers, like just they can like get a very holistic like kind of almost analysis of how the show was made, and I love it. I learned so much about filmmaking just from listening to that
I
podcast.
love this. I am gonna have to dip my toe, I guess. I love that
And
because
they dig into their fan base because every episode ends with Kristen Bauer going, "Y'all come back now, you hear?" Like every time.
as a Southern woman, I don't know how to feel about that.
It works so well though.
We don't all say that though.
I mean, neither does Pam. Neither does Pam, but her voice just so perfect. She's one of those people that like her voice. I could listen to her talk about anything for hours.
I mean, when you start your British accent, I think we all are like that.
Oh, you mean this British accent?
Yay!
Here's the issue. We'll go in a minute, like a mild tangent, really quickly while I use this voice. For those who are listening who've watched Once Upon a Time, you likely know what character I'm modeling this voice after. Katie has not heard this voice and will not hear this voice for likely 2.5 years.
What?
Unfortunately, all of the British actors on the show right now are not using their native accents.
I agreed to this.
I know. Okay, we're gonna stop with the voice.
I've been trying to get you to use that voice for so long.
Once we get to the point when that character shows up, then I'll use it all the time.
That was phenomenal. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Y'all, to anybody out there, y'all don't understand. We have a lovely group chat with all of our friends, and you just have random voice messages of Lauren talking in this accent, and all of us are like, yes! Like, everybody loves it. She will be narrating some very fun books in the future.
Someday.
You have the mic.
I do have the microphone. Okay, so we're stopping with the voice.
Any other fun facts for me? Because I'm excited.
I do have some more fun facts. Some of them are more continuity error thingies that I did not notice.
Oh.
But one of them does lead into a fandom story time. I'll do that one last. But apparently, when Cinderella signs the contract at the beginning of the episode,
Yes.
if you look very, very closely, she starts signing with a C, which indicates that her name is actually Cinderella and Ella is a nickname, or she's just brainwashed. That's my commentary on top of that.
Yeah, because isn't the lore of Cinderella is because she sleeps near the hearth?
Exactly. It's that her name is Ella and she wakes up with cinders on her, so they call her Cinderella. But apparently she just, that's the way that she started signing it, and it starts with a C if you look very, very closely.
I was too focused on how skinny Rumplestiltskin was. He like squat his legs down, and I'm like, his legs are so thin.
He's very tiny.
He's tiny. And that's the first I realized how tiny he was, because I usually see him in the suit. So it's really hard to tell. And his hair, like, it's hard to tell. But, like, in that costume, kneeling the way he did to get her to sign, I was like, that is a tiny man.
Yeah, it is. And at the very end, also, when he's bending down to kind of look at the second contract that she gives him, that one's a case of my blooper brain rot happening again, because when she like shows him the contract and goes, "No, I think it's more than fair." The blooper for that one is that, and he goes like, "Oh yes, yes it is, yes." Apart from the fact that it's upside down, she opened it upside down.
I love that.
Why won't these things leave my brain is my question.
I don't have an answer for you because the stuff I've got in my head, I don't know why. Well, look, you said Cinderella the way you did, and now all I have in my head is the classic cartoon Cinderella, like the song that the mice sing. Cinderella. Thank you. I'm not even saying it right in my own head, but it's in my head, like the tune.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's actually my like least favorite of the classic cartoons.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites either. I'll be honest.
It's just of Cinderella.
If I wasn't ever so inclined to like watch all of the Disney animated like in order, I would probably never watch Snow White or Cinderella.
I don't think I would watch Snow White, Cinderella. I don't mind Sleeping Beauty.
I like Sleeping Beauty.
But
it's also short.
I also really like I've only seen the first Maleficent movie. I haven't seen the second one. I should probably watch that.
That one's a trip.
That one's a trip?
That one, I watched it with a friend of mine. Like, it was alumni weekend. We went back up to our college town and we went to go see it because nothing else to do. And we're just like, what are we watching?
Was that like the second Alice in Wonderland movie?
I never saw that
Through the Looking Glass?
Never saw it.
I've seen bits and pieces, but I couldn't follow it.
Oh.
But then you have like Beauty and the Beast, and I'm like, okay, give me that. It definitely, like, I love a lot of the classics, but Beauty and the Beast will always be a favorite just because I've
Yeah.
always been the reader. So,
The
and
book
then
girl.
realizing I ended up with like a very hairy man speaks some interesting things to me. In reference, I mean that my husband is quite hairy and has a very large beard.
Yes.
Um, because I saw a meme once or something. It was like, if you actually preferred how the Beast looked before he transitioned, you may want to look at some things, do a little bit of introspection. And I was like, yeah.
Just a little bit. Something I wrote down, again in all caps, why does she need to walk him to the school bus? The world building of the school bus will just continue to bother me.
If everything seems to be in walking distance, why is there a school bus?
It is. At one point, you're gonna see Mary Margaret leave Granny's and go to her car. Her apartment is on the same street. It doesn't make any sense, but that does lead into another one of the fun facts, or not necessarily a fun. It's part fun fact, part fandom story time. I was looking at the signs in the scene when Graham pulls up and basically tries to forcibly ask Emma to be a deputy by just stepping in front of her. Um, all of like the banners behind him are food restaurants. You'll see Storybrooke Coffee. There's Dave's Fish and Chips. There's some kind of Greek tavern that's behind him, or taverna, whatever it is. Apparently, they didn't do the best at Greeking these because they would come in before filming and change all the signage to be Storybrooke or to be fairy tale themed rather than being the actual businesses. But there are some cases where in one frame it says Storybrooke and in another frame it says Steveston. They just didn't, I guess they just filmed something before, or they just, I don't know what happened there. But the fact that this corner of of the main street is filled with restaurants, as I've said before, I'm from the fan fiction side of the Once Upon a Time fandom, and more specifically like the Tumblr RP roleplay group, where like we would like, it's
I
basically
remember those days.
basically collaborative fan fiction. I write one character, someone else writes the other character, and we go about our days.
I used to do that, but not on Tumblr.
I mean, there are plenty of places that people do this.
I don't know if I want to admit where I did it.
I don't know. That's up to you. But amongst the RP fandom, there seems to have been this consensus that the only restaurant in town is Granny's. There's no other places to eat,
Yeah, I
apparently.
was about to ask, like, how do you have all these places, but everybody's always at Granny's?
Exactly. So like we basically either the show kind of made us forget this, or no one paid attention, because there are not very many instances on the show where they go to other restaurants. I can think of one instance where Emma goes to an Italian restaurant. Um, I think that might be it. Like any other time anyone goes, and there's also an ice cream parlor that I think they decide is in the building next to Granny's. It's not there yet. Right now I think it's something else. That space will change a couple of times. Although actually that's a continuity error, because when we do see the ice cream place, it had always been there. That's a whole other thing.
The continuity gets me.
It's the continuity sometimes is not the best, which leads me to something else. Not to just take over the entire thing real quick here. My thing of I wrote in our notes, I really want to talk about how they imprisoned Rupple.
Yes, I do too.
Because so the line is it's a quill that the blue fairy charmed. This is a detail that gets basically just like retconned like very quickly in the next season. So like they're not even pretending, and they do make a point of saying it wasn't actually the quill, it was the ink, is what they say. They say it because they need some other Deus Ex Machina piece of magic to help them out next season. That's what it is. It's Deus Ex magic item.
I love that though.
I think I wrote down at one point Regina is just Deus Ex evil moment. That's what she is for these 2 episodes. Is she just pops in, evil moment, leaves.
I can't wait to get more of her though.
Me too. You'll get much more of her in the next episode.
Okay, good. I need more.
Yeah. But they almost immediately retcon, like I wrote down, the blue fairy cast a spell on it. Or not. Like because they just decided that didn't work. At all. But that does put the timing of this to be before obviously that scene in the pilot when they go see him because he's already imprisoned, right?
Yeah. But like it felt too easy. It didn't make sense that it actually tricked him. I was like, Rumple's smarter than this. Why did this work?
That will come up, not quite this season, more so next season. Because as like we've established that he can kind of see the future a little bit, he knows where he needs to be and what needs to happen. So he knows that he's not really being bamboozled. He
So,
knows that he needs to be in that prison cell when the curse hits. So this is his way of getting there.
all right, another theory.
Hmm.
I don't think only Regina knows that the town's cursed.
I can't
I
confirm or deny this.
know. I'm just throwing out there that I
I
think Rumple
can't.
knows too. I think he is too powerful and too
Hmm.
magical, I could
That's fair. He's
say,
very
to
magical.
not know. Like he's too aware. And like
Okay.
you just said, he can see the future. So how
Yeah.
does he not know? Look, I'm having fun with these theories. I can't find it. I can't wait to find out if I'm wrong or right. I really can't. I need
You
to
will
know.
find out. So far, every theory you've asked about, an answer is forthcoming.
Yeah.
So there's that. So like so far you haven't asked me about something that like the show never addresses. Because if that's the case, I will tell you.
Yeah, just, Beauty and the Beast is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's
That's
coming.
in on 4. That's in 8 episodes.
8. So, see you in 2 months.
Basically.
So near the end and everything's going on with the Regina, like, I'll be back at this time. I legitimately was sitting there like, Regina, I get it. I was a single mom. I get it. I would have my Saturday meeting too.
The Saturday City Council meetings.
I mean, good choice.
I mean, it's great. It's good.
Oh, I meant Graham.
Oh yeah, no, him too. Graham is a good choice. So Madam Mayor, that position is so unfair in all caps. I love it. It's just like that. But then at the end when they do the big reveal that it's Graham, I'm like, how did your socks get that far under the bed? What did you do? But like his socks are like he has to like bend down and like really reach under the bed to get those socks. Like how did they end up like midway under the bed is my question. Unless he like threw them there.
I'm thinking of like the physics of this. I'm like, how? Because
Yeah, I don't
even
really
if
know
you're
how
like
that
trying to
works.
throw them off before activities, then
Hmm.
how do they land under the bed? Where are you that they're landing under the bed when you throw them? Like, are you across the room just going, here, let me throw my socks under the bed?
I don't know. That feels like a very deliberate thing to be doing. But
It's for that shot to get his face. They literally only
exactly,
did it
that's what
for
it's
a
for.
shot so that they could get the
Yeah.
actual look at his face and it be a surprise. I mean, you could have just had him coming out of the shower. I'd be fine. Just saying.
Yeah. I feel like I just seeing him in the mirror.
Oh, wiping the mirror would have been great. Like
Yeah,
just do
right? Like
like a wipe of the mirror. The socks doesn't make sense.
yeah, I don't know. This one was written and directed by a pairing that in past rewatches, when they write and direct episodes, I generally don't like them, and this can transition us into the stats. Funny enough, the writer, David H. Goodman, when he writes episodes that are directed by other people, um, they're almost always episodes that I love. So he's got a knack for certain characters.
Okay.
But for some reason, every time they pair him and David Solomon together, there's just something about the episodes that are not my favorites. This one was
Yeah.
very Rumplestiltskin heavy. And as much as I do enjoy, I like Mr. Gold more than I like Rumple. That may shift as the show goes on, but Mr. Gold is fairly honest about what he wants right now. He just wants his agreements honored. He just kind of he's out to do bad things, but like he's fairly open and honest about it. Rumple tends to bother me.
I
So,
I I don't really have much of an opinion on Rumple yet. He's very he's
mhm. He's
flamboyant.
just kind
Might
of
be
there.
he's there, but he's interesting.
He is. Like we'll
He's
get more of him obviously as the show goes on. I think in episode 8, right? Is that the number? Yes, episode 8 is going to be like a big backstory for him.
okay. And then cuz like I didn't hate the episode. I think I enjoyed
Mhm.
it. It's not my one of my highest ranked, really.
Okay.
I think the continuity errors also got me a little bit as well. Because even at the
Yeah, that's
end, I
fair.
got really bothered by the fact that he ran inside, made it just up the stairs. How did she not see
Yeah.
him? How?
Because they wanted to make a Cinderella gag, which is
But it
fine.
was just so obvious that she would have seen him.
Oh, absolutely. She absolutely would have.
Yeah.
This
So she's
one,
either ignoring that he went out
yeah,
or is blind. I don't know. I don't know.
she's blinded by something.
I mean, it, yeah.
Probably not actually. So for numbers, I'll give the ranking right now for this one. So I
Mhm.
told you that there was a stopping of the tens for
It's this
personal
one,
for
isn't
a
it?
while. This is the start of it. I gave this one a 5
Do you think it
for
feels like
personal.
it's because it's Cinderella?
No, it's because I think it's because there's too much Rumpelstiltskin.
You really don't like Rumpelstiltskin.
I really don't. He's just a character that as the show goes on, it may become apparent why I don't like him.
Okay.
It does take a while, but also it takes a little while to kind of get to I feel like for new viewers to get to the point where I really don't like him.
Okay, that's fair.
Because right now he's just kind of there creating chaos. So like from a new viewer
Yeah.
perspective, he's
Maybe
fine.
that's why I don't mind him very much. He's creating chaos.
Exactly, but I know what happened. So it doesn't make me like this any like I feel like it makes me like him less now knowing what will happen, which isn't entirely fair, but that's kind of what I'm operating under. So I gave this one a 5 for personal. I gave it a 9 for character. Honestly, outside of him, I like the character growth in this episode. I like seeing how Emma is kind of fighting her instincts, like her self-preservation, and she's just kind of like she's decided like, yep, we're gonna help people and do the things. And the through line of like, if you want to change your life, you have to be the one to do it. I like that a lot. Emma's line of there are no fairy godmothers in this world. People are going to tell you your whole life who you are, but you just got to punch back and say, no, this is who I am. Almost immediately after Regina said to her, people don't change, they only fool themselves into believing they can. maybe not, but I do like that this is a lot of growth for Emma, especially as she decides to put down the roots. And plot, I gave it a 7. It's an enjoyable plot, other than Ruby kind of throwing them on a wild goose chase briefly. I have no main issues with the plot. I think it's a good mashup of the Rumpelstiltskin and the Cinderella stories, and I think there's good crossover of events and kind of correlation between the flashbacks and the Storybrooke arc. So
I gave character an 8. I had Ruby in this one. I was
okay,
happy. There was more Ruby than usual.
we have Ruby. Yeah.
I don't dislike Mr. Gold or Rumpelstiltskin, but I also
Mm-hmm.
don't like him. Like
Okay,
he's
that's
kind of
fair.
in the middle right now because I enjoy the chaos happening, but then everything being surrounded to babies makes me feel weird. Like as a mother,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
not his main thing. I will say we see it a couple of times, but there is a justification for it that I have inferred, so which
Okay.
may or may not make it better.
Just feels like there's so much happening with babies, and I'm just like, I've had babies. This isn't a simple
Mm-hmm.
keep or get away. Like it's so
Yeah.
much more complex, I feel. And so I felt a little bit weird
Mm-hmm.
about that. Plot, I gave it a 7. I knew there was going to be Cinderella. This is based off of fairy tales. I
Yeah,
don't like the story of Cinderella, personally.
which is fair.
Not my favorite story. It's just not interesting to me. It's one of those that it's like, fairy godmother helps her out and she's off to a man. And that for me, I'm just like, well, this is boring.
Yeah.
That's no, I like yeah, no. And so personal was like I gave it at least an 8. So
Okay.
this tied my score with the first episode.
Okay. So what's the total?
23.
Okay. Oh, I should have said before. I didn't. My total is 21. So right now it's my
Okay.
lowest ranked episode.
So these two so far my lowest rank. The first episode and this episode are both 23. My highest
Okay.
ranked so far is episode 2.
And mine is episode 3.
Episode 3 I gave a 26.
Yeah, I think I gave Snowfalls I think a 28.
So far though, no 30s ever at all in anything.
Yeah, I don't know. At least I'm trying to think ahead to what I'm going to give. I think I know where my first 30 is coming from.
I don't.
I know. Yeah, you have no. Yeah, you're
I
coming into this
know
blind.
I can think of one episode of Bob's that I already know is a 30,
Hmm.
but you
Okay,
got some time until that one. I think it's like season
gotcha.
10.
Ooh.
I do not remember. I don't know, like scoring wise, like continuing watching both shows.
Hmm.
Obviously, I don't know with Once Upon a Time, like you have.
Yeah,
With Bob's, I
yeah. I have
have.
the whole show.
There's so many good ones, but I don't know which ones I would consider 10 until I rewatch.
Yeah, I think I know where my first 10 is coming from, and I think if I am correct in how I feel when I watch these episodes, I have 2 in the first season.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm looking at like the names of the episodes right now, and I'm just like, these do not give off any idea of what they're actually about.
See, they don't when you first look at them. Once you watch the episode, for the most part, there is a connection.
See, I think okay. Well, the next one, that's still small voice. Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The rest?
Like this one, so
No
actually
idea.
no
Oh wait.
idea.
Well, The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. That's got to be Graham, right?
Yes, that's Graham.
Okay. I'm just like sitting here like, what can I figure out from these?
Let's just take some
Okay.
guesses.
Taking some guesses real quick. Desperate Souls makes me think Little Mermaid, but I don't think that's actually what it's going to be.
No,
True
it's not.
North, no fucking clue. I'm trying to figure out why 7:15 a.m. is a title. Um,
It makes sense. I promise you it makes sense.
Skin Deep, I think I know.
Okay. Do you want to guess? I will confirm if you're correct.
Is Skin Deep Beauty and the Beast?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes. Okay. And then I go into these other ones, like Heart of Darkness just gives me nightmares from academic decathlon having to read that damn book. So,
Oh, that book was terrible. Luckily, it has nothing to do with that book.
thank goodness.
But it's funny that you bring up the episode titles because a fun fact that I did write down, because something that the fandom wiki has is the translations, the international translations for when the episodes were in other regions. So Price of Gold is not the direct translation in every country. The most common translation is actually the Price of Magic, which appears more often. Which, to be fair, honestly makes more sense considering
It
this
does.
introduced a few catchphrases. One of which being "All magic comes with a price." Rumpelstiltskin says that a lot. I think I counted. He says his catchphrase 3 times in this episode.
Yes, he
Um,
says that a lot.
yeah, like all magic comes with a price. He really enjoys
I
telling people that, and it comes up a lot. But yeah, so there's a lot of catchphrases in this episode. We get that one. We've also heard "Love is weakness," which comes up a lot.
Is that Regina?
That's Regina said that in the
That's
second
Regina.
episode. And we'll kind of see where she gets that from as the seasons go on. We also see I don't know if we've heard it yet, but we will hear it soon. Evil's not born, it's made is more or less a through line. I think a few people say it. But that one will kind of come up a lot. Trying to think of any other catchphrases. When we have I will always find you is how they say I love you, and it gets annoying really quickly, I promise you.
Oh, it already is.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm already like, okay, you said it.
Already
We
there.
know.
We
You're
got it.
just kiss already.
But one thing I did want to say before we ended is there's a lot of references to things in this episode as well. Obviously, we have just the general Cinderella contracts, all of that, like kind of referencing back to the Enchanted Forest arc. But Ruby's little wolf thing, like we know
Mhm.
that Ruby is Little Red, but like it's
Oh, of
these small
course.
details that they kind of throw in throughout the show that is just really fun to see. And something as we see when we see Mr. Gold's pawn shop in the light, because right now it's mostly we saw it at night when she breaks in and things. There are
Mhm.
little Easter eggs to things in that episode. Actually, one of them we'll see in the next episode that you can see in that frame. I won't tell you what it is, but you might notice it when you see it. But there'll be like things like hidden Mickeys, even they'll throw them in there because this is Disney.
That's adorable.
One not so hidden, it's right there, but you do kind of have to look for it.
Well, remind me when I go to watch it.
Sounds good. I don't even remember what episode it's in.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers episodes, Season 1, Episode 7, Bed and Breakfast, and Season 1, Episode 8, Art Crawl. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.